Some cars look slow but are actually pretty fast. Let's check them out, starting off with this unassuming Kia. If you saw it on the road, you'd probably just think, oh, it's a new model, and move on. But you and I, we know better.
Are the exception.
This thing is fast, like really fast. It packs 365 horsepower from a V6 and can hit 167 miles per hour with ease, which makes me think it was probably electronically limited to that speed. Now, you might argue that the Stinger doesn't actually look slow, especially given its name. I mean, I'm going to float like a butterfly and sting like a bee, right? Speaking of bees, let's be sensible and talk about a proper sleeper next. Enter the Topolino. Now, what if I told you that this tiny car had something in common with another performance monster? You'd think I was crazy. Well, you'd be right because I'm totally lying. They're nothing alike, except that only one of them has over 500 horsepower. Any guesses? Yep, it's the Ferrari. The one I'm talking about has a V8 pumping out over 500 horses. Now, here's Johnny, the R63 AMG. This is one of those cars that genuinely looks slow. I mean, it's an estate car. Who on earth would think this thing is fast? And to be fair, it wasn't that fast by today's standards, with a 250 kilometers per hour, 155 miles per hour, top speed. But here's the catch. It had a 6.2-liter V8 cranking out over 500 horsepower and an absolutely insane amount of torque. Just picture a grandma driving this thing and absolutely smoking some poor guy who has no idea what just happened. Honestly, AMG and Mercedes have such a strong reputation that it's hard to think of any of their cars as slow, but visually, yeah, this one looks super slow. Sticking with cars that don't look fast, let's talk about the Ford Flex. For this one, I'll let Instagram Automotive give you a few reasons why you should get one. I got you, fam! The car you see? It's actually owned by him, but surprisingly, he's not even being biased. Every Flex comes with a V6, but the limited model has a twin-turbo V6 with 365 horsepower. I mean, who would look at this boxy thing and think, yeah, that's fast? No one. You just can't take it seriously as a performance vehicle. But oh man, it's no joke. Here's a Flex beating a Viper. And here's a Flex gapping a Supra. I can already hear the Super kids screaming in the distance. All right, let's head to the UK, land of fish and chips, Big Ben, and people who can't live without tea and biscuits. Apparently. Why you? I'm being shish. Now, the UK kind of got overshadowed by other countries when it came to cars, and you don't really hear about a lot of sleepers from there. But I'd argue that one of the first proper sleeper cars actually came from the UK. No, I'm not talking about the Sierra Cosworth. The car I really want to highlight is the Lotus Carlton, also known as the Lotus Omega. This car was special. It started life as a Vauxhall Carlton, or Opel Omega, depending on where you're from. But GM, who owned Vauxhall and Opel, decided they wanted to spice things up, so they called in Lotus. And oh boy, Lotus did their thing. They made a ton of upgrades, threw in 2 turbos, because why not, and boosted the power to 377 brake horsepower. The result? 0 to 60 in just over 5 seconds, and an official top speed of 174 miles per hour, 280 kilometers per hour. I say official because a lot of people actually managed to hit over 180 miles per hour, 290 kilometers per hour, in real-world tests. This car was so insane that the UK government actually wanted to ban it. Wait, look, listen. Let me tell you something. No, seriously, let me tell you something. These 2 cars, yeah, they're similar. They're from the same group, they're family SUVs, but trust me, these are proper sleeper cars. And no, I don't mean sleeper as in you can sleep in the back. No, I mean they're ridiculously fast but don't look the part. Both of them have 12-cylinder engines. Yeah, family SUVs with 12 cylinders. Insane, right? First up, the Q7 V12 TDI. This beast has a V12 diesel with 500 horsepower and 1,000 Newton meters, 737 pound-feet of torque. I mean, clearly a V12 wasn't crazy enough. So Audi thought, you know what? Let's make it a diesel for fun. Oh, and did I mention it has 2 turbos? To this day, I have no idea why they made it a diesel. Like, genuinely. So instead, let's look at the W12 Touareg. I could also throw in the Phaeton, which gave you some interesting engine choices. A V6, another V6 AV8, AV10, and a W12. Now, logically, which one would you pick? Obviously the W12. And what do they do with it? Slap it into a family SUV just to flex on those who didn't have a 12-cylinder SUV in their lineup. For real, it was just a flex. Brand image. Same 155 miles per hour, electronically limited top speed as the Q7, but with slightly less horsepower, 450, and a slightly slower 0 to 60 time. Still absolutely bonkers. Now, let's talk Renault. They're known for a lot of things, like making quirky cars, making terrible Formula One engines in recent years, but also for making one absolutely insane little car. The Clio. No. I'm not talking about your average grocery getter. I'm talking about the Clio V6. See, when you make a hot hatch, the logical thing to do is increase the power of the engine. And yeah, Renault did that. But that's not what makes it crazy. That silence? Yeah, it's loud. And there's a good reason for it. The engine, they moved it to the back. Yeah. Rear mid-engined, hot hatch. Ayo, what? This thing had 252 horsepower, which actually made it the fastest hatchback in the world at the time. Definitely a sleeper back in the day. But still, it's hard to believe they actually built a rear mid-engined V6 hot hatch. Next up, we're flying to Australia. Time to throw some shrimp on the Barbie. Yeah, I'm so sorry to my Australian viewers. Genuinely. This entry is special because a lot of people don't even know about this car. Let's talk Holden. You might have heard of them, but if not, they shut down in 2020. They were an Australian car manufacturer owned by GM. And one of the coolest things they made? The Ute. Basically, a coupe plus pickup truck hybrid. Something you don't really see anywhere else. If you saw one on the street, you'd probably be like, what the hell is that? You wouldn't even have the time to assume it's fast. But oh boy, it's packing. Packing power. Power. The Ute SSV had a 6.0-liter V8, pushing 362 horsepower, which is no joke. Like, what else are you going to find that's similar to this thing? It's honestly such a shame they're no longer around. And finally, let's wrap this up with the BMW 7 Series. Yeah, I can already hear you. How the hell is this a sleeper? I mean, yeah, you can sleep in it. But trust me, this thing's a real sleeper. Because under the hood of the G11 Pre-LCI 7 Series, sold around 2017 to 2018, you'll find a 6.0-liter V12, pumping out over 600 horsepower. At the time, this was the fastest launching BMW you could buy. That's nuts. And honestly, I kind of want one now. I'm probably going to forget to put the link here, so yeah, I need some almonds. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.